What's going on? Welcome back to going on. Welcome back to YouTube, guys, and Facebook. First time ever doing a stream. Of course, welcome back to AU guys, the sport podcast created for me for my average Joe. I'm your host, CJ Charles Jackson, and I got my guest here, my brother from another mother, my good friend Anthony. Man, what's going on?
What's up, man? How you doing?
A lot to talk about. The title of this video is "The Committee Get It Right." Now, you know, as a Bama fan, we'll get to Bama in a second. The topic of today, Florida State 13 and 0. Of course, Jordan Travis got hurt. Beat Florida with Tate Rodemaker. And then they played without yesterday against Louisville. It wasn't the prettiest performance, but they got the job done, winning 16-6, really behind a stout running game and an elite defense by Florida State. The play that changed the game that Louisville lost was that messed up punt that Florida State had. Louisville in great field position. You have the drive in the end zone, and then you had probably one of the worst passes I've seen by Jack Plummer all year. The quarterback for Louisville, he threw it literally right into the hands of the linebacker sitting there in the heart of the zone. That was the game in the fourth quarter. But I want to get with you. Florida State finished fifth in the college football playoff rankings. No, actually sixth. Georgia finished fifth.
Nah, you had it right the first time. They got Florida State at 5 and Georgia at 6.
If we will look at the rest of, I believe Ohio State was 7, and Penn State 10. Let's start off with the question that we all talk about: did the committee get the 4 teams with Michigan, Washington, Texas, and Alabama?
Well, I'm an Alabama fan, but my personal bias put to the side, I do believe they did get it right. I know it's going to be a lot of controversy. Everybody's saying it's not right. It ain't fair. You got a undefeated Power 5 conference champion with Florida State, but it comes down to the 4 best teams, and the commissioner of the playoff, I think he said it too. He was talking about, it's the 4 best teams, not necessarily the 4 most deserving teams. Now, with Jordan Travis getting injured, I think that did knock Florida State off from being one of the best teams. Had he never got injured, then I think, of course, Florida State gets in and Alabama gets left out.
So what people first they but what they said Florida State the worst schedule. Ben was number 5. Florida State was 5th. And you look at Florida State, all these been wrong. We lost a lot of teams. Honest, you see the first doing. I think defense would have, but Florida State beat LSU week 1 by it was against Clemson. And your next big win after that, Florida State, it was against a 3-loss Florida. A 3-loss. Florida State, he win. Louisville, that but because of that, And that is five. Of course, he played the playoff. But my question to you is this. Do you think Bama deserved it more beating Georgia? Or do you think Florida State got snubbed by y'all? Do you think people say they made a call to the against Bama again? We know that's not. But do you really think that Florida State was not?
uh, yeah, absolutely. I think they deserve to be in it. It doesn't matter, at least in my opinion, it doesn't matter what conference you play in or what schedule you have. It is still very hard to go undefeated throughout the year and win your conference championship, uh, especially in any of the Power Five conferences. But do they deserve to get in? Yeah, I think they did deserve it. But again, it's not necessarily about who deserves it, but who the actual four best teams are. And that again, that goes back to the injuries to their quarterback, Jordan Travis.
And I also in sports, you take your healthy. I think Bama would have. We all know what Florida State Jordan Travis has been getting it. But you look at uh, can you hear me now?
It's kind of scattered.
What's going on with my headset? People saying, what about now?
That's better.
But as I was saying before, okay. But as I was saying before, you have to look at the totality of the injury. Now I'm a Gator fan. I have no problem with Florida State. I might talk trash about Florida State, but at the end of the day, that Jordan Travis injury was very significant because Florida State looked different offensively without Travis in there. Um, Keon Coleman wasn't the same Keon Coleman he was when Travis was at quarterback, but Florida State was undefeated, and they're the first Power Five conference champion not to make the playoff.
Right.
Um, and I think I read an article about what Mike Novell said. He was disgusted with the fact the committee kept out an undefeated conference champion for the state. Um, Florida State is going to a bowl game, but it's not the playoff. I found out earlier today that Florida State will play Georgia in the Orange Bowl. And let's talk about that matchup between those two teams. The Noles and the Dogs tangled up down there in South Florida. Who do you think is going to win that game and why? Do you think Florida State? Here's what I'm thinking. Do you think Florida State will even play that bowl game? Because a lot of players are pretty ticked off about not making the playoff.
Well, I can't say who I think is going to win it. Uh, I do believe it's going to be a great opportunity for Florida State, to show that, yeah, they did get snubbed, that they do deserve to be in the playoffs, and that, the committee got it wrong. Because a lot of people are still trying to make a case for Georgia to get in, also saying, they've been great all season, that even with the one loss to Alabama last night, that they are still one of the best four teams.
Right.
So I think it's a great opportunity for Florida State to prove against, the two-time defending national champions that they are deserving to get in the playoff, and that they did get snubbed, and the committee did get it wrong.
It's just heart wrenching to see Florida State make the playoff. Uh, they're gonna have their hands full. They got to get ready to play ball regardless, because if they made the playoff, they still got to play. But this is a playoff type matchup right here. If you had to add another playoff game in there, you have to add this Georgia Florida State game. The question is though, you can pick a game out of these two, because this game, even with Roderick at quarterback, I don't still think Florida State having enough to beat Georgia offensively. They have to really come with it in that bowl game between Florida State and Georgia. I'm gonna pick Georgia winning that game. I'm gonna say 27-14 over Florida State.
Yeah,
Who's losing that game?
I'm gonna go with Florida State. I think they come out with something to prove. They're going to show everybody that they got it wrong, and I think it comes down to the play of their defense, shutting down the Georgia receivers, trying to contain Brock Bowers, and keeping constant pressure on the Georgia quarterback. And Florida State's, even though they're down the quarterback, their defense has still been elite. One of the best in the nation, in my opinion. And if they bring that fire and that determination to go out and prove it to everybody and to win, I think Florida State will come away with a win.
So what you got? What you got to score in that game?
Again, I think Florida State wins. I think it'll be close though. I'm going to say 31-28. Florida State. Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and hop on to. We're gonna pick every bowl game from start to finish, and then we're gonna eventually pick our national champion. Are you ready? Now,
yeah.
Bias aside, you cannot be biased in these picks with Bama because they're in the playoff. You cannot be biased. Understand?
I promise.
What's going on, man? Let's go ahead and get our next New Year's Six Bowl. So you got the Noles winning against Georgia in the Orange Bowl, correct?
Yeah.
All right, let's go look at the next bowl game we have in the New Year's Six. You have number 7 Ohio State taking on number 9 Missouri in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. Who you got winning that matchup and why?
I think that's another good matchup, but I'm gonna have to go Ohio State.
Ohio State?
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. I'm not being biased because I'm a Gator fan once again. We lost a heartbreaker to Missouri down there a few weeks ago. But I love the running back. I think it's Cody Snyder, the running back, or Schrader or something like that. He's a very powerful runner. But they are taking on a top 3 defense in Ohio State. And then the best wide receiver in college football, Marvin Harrison Jr., is going to light up Missouri.
Yeah.
Go Buckeyes in a shootout. I'm going to say Buckeyes pull away 35-21 over Missouri to win the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic.
I'm going to take Ohio State. I'm going to say 38-17.
38-17?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about next bowl game. Out there in the desert, the number 8 Oregon Ducks taking on the Cinder last year. Tulane beat USC in the Cotton Bowl Classic. So now, do you see an upset go on the desert? Number 8 Oregon, runners up in the Pac-12, taking on number 23 Liberty in the Fiesta Bowl. Now, question is, rumor surrounds it that Bo Nix might not play in the Fiesta Bowl. What are your thoughts on that before we make our decision on this bowl game? Do you think Bo Nix should play, or do you think he should sit out ready for the draft?
Well, me personally, I'm not a fan of the players sitting out of their games and the bowl games. I think it takes away from the sport and the matchups that they create in the offseason. At the same time, I understand their reasoning for sitting out, especially the more elite players. And Bo Nix has been every bit of elite this year.
Right.
The Heisman finalist. But again, personally, I don't like players sitting out. I think, they started the year with their team. They should finish the year with their team. But his decision to play or not, I believe, is going to be the difference in the game. Uh, if he does decide to play, I think Oregon wins relatively easily. I think first half it'll be kind of close, but they pull away pretty good in the second half. But if he decides not to play, then I think Liberty does have a great chance to come away with a huge upset.
So let's just say he's playing. We both know that Oregon's gonna probably run away with this one. Bo Nix probably have a field day in this game. I see at least no minimum than 350 and 3 touchdowns in the win against Liberty. But don't sleep on Liberty. They're number one ranked rush offense in the country, almost 300 yards per game on the ground for the Flames. So it's going to be a very high scoring game down there in the desert. But I think Oregon's going to win 42-21 over Liberty. I think Oregon will find a way to slow down that rushing attack of Liberty.
That's the same score I was thinking. Especially if Bo Nix plays, definitely. Uh, if he doesn't play, I still say Oregon to win. Uh, so I say 42-21 with him, uh, 35-17 without him.
So either way, Ducks get the dub.
Yeah, either way.
All right. Next game we're going to talk about is a Big Ten SEC matchup down there in A-Town. You got the 10th ranked Pittsburgh Lions taking on the 11th ranked Ole Miss Rebels. What are your thoughts about this matchup between these two teams?
I think this is probably going to be one of the better matchups of the offseason. And it all depends on what Ole Miss team shows up. Because when Ole Miss is on, they're hard to beat. They're hard to stop, especially with Lane Kiffin at the helm calling the shots. Because, he's got a great offensive mind. So if Ole Miss, if they show up ready to play, then I believe they're going to put up a lot of points. Penn State, they've historically has always had a great defense, but I think Lane Kiffin has Ole Miss ready. I'm gonna go with Ole Miss.
All right. Now here's my take. Now James Franklin and Lane Kiffin, two of the better young minds in college football. I respect both Lane Kiffin and James Franklin. Really, James Franklin for how he's turned Penn State after the whole Sandusky trial, after the death of Joe Paterno. He's kept them consistent, 8 to 11 wins almost every year since he's been at Penn State, except for that COVID year. We're gonna forget about that. But James Franklin's been a model of consistency in college football, and he has one of the top 3 defenses in college football. FYI, that Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State are the top 3 defenses in college football.
I didn't know that.
Penn State is the number 1 ranked defense in college football, followed by Michigan and Ohio State. But Penn State, with that number 1 ranked defense, is going to cause a lot of problems for that Ole Miss offense. I think Drew Allar, the quarterback from Penn State, is going to make enough plays that Penn State offense. I got Penn State winning a close, low-scoring matchup, and low-scoring and Lane Kiffin's offense don't mesh together. I got Penn State winning 20-17 to capture the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl win. Your thoughts?
I'm gonna take Ole Miss 30-20.
Ooh, so you're gonna see some points on the board, huh?
Yeah, I think they're going to put some points up.
All right. Next bowl game is gonna be down there, I believe I think this bowl game is in Orlando. Big Ten SEC matchup. Number 17 ranked Iowa taking on number 21 Tennessee in the Citrus Bowl. What are your thoughts in that matchup?
I like Iowa. Their defense, they played great against Michigan last night. The offense, from what I've seen, they couldn't move the ball. They couldn't get any points on the board, but the defense did play good. But, Michigan proved too much for them. I like Iowa. Tennessee has been real inconsistent this year. They play good one game and then they fall apart the next. But Iowa coming off that tough loss last night to Michigan, I think they come out and they beat Tennessee. I'm gonna say 24-13.
24-14. Hawkeyes, not so fast, my friend. I'm gonna go with still now. Thank Lee Corso for that saying. Watching Iowa these last 2 weeks is like watching paint dry. Their offense is so lethargic and slow. Then you got the quarterback from Iowa, Deacon Hill, 6'4", 258. Big glove of a guy. Um, that offense just so slow. It's just so slow. Honestly, I don't see Iowa even get 200 yards on Tennessee. Joe Burrow's gonna have a big day. He's gonna throw for at least 250 plus, maybe 4 touchdowns. I got Tennessee blowing them out 31-10 to win the Citrus Bowl. I just don't see Iowa's offense. Their defense is great, but the defense can be so wore out from being on the field so much because the offense is so
Yeah.
good. I think Tennessee's gonna find a way to put points on that defense, and Joe Milton's going to end his college career on a dub, giving Tennessee win number 9 and beating Iowa in the Citrus Bowl. Next game we're going to talk about is taking place in Duval. Number 22 ranked Clemson taking on Kentucky in the Gator Bowl. Your thoughts on that matchup?
I like Clemson. I had a lot of high expectations for Kentucky the first half of the season, but they just kind of fell apart. Clemson, I think they're working toward getting back on track. So I like Clemson taking the win.
Clemson taking the win. What's
Yep.
your score in that matchup?
Uh, I'm gonna say I'm gonna say it stays kind of close. I'm gonna go 20-17 Clemson.
20-17.
Yeah.
Let's say this about Clemson. Clemson has been on a roller coaster ride all year long. Uh, they went from having the lowest of lows, losing the NC State on the road, losing the Duke at home to start the year, losing a heartbreaker to Florida State. But they turned it around the last month and a half of the year, getting a huge home win against Notre Dame, getting a huge home win against North Carolina. Clemson is one of the hottest teams in the country, especially the last month and a half of the year. Yes, Kentucky beat Louisville. I just don't see Kentucky having the firepower offensively. Now I like Devin Leary. I like the quarterback for Kentucky, the Ohio State quarterback. It's just they're another offense that's kind of slow paced. And Dabo go find a way to get the offense going. I'm gonna say Clemson wins this one. I agree with you on this one. I'm gonna get the Tigers winning this one, 24-10. Clemson gets win number 9 and finishes season on a huge win streak. Next match we're talking about is taking place in the Lone Star State. Number 12, Oklahoma, who we thought was a college football playoff contender at the beginning of the year, kind of was up and down towards the middle of the season, but finished strong. They got the number 14 ranked Arizona Wildcats down there in the Alamo Bowl. Your thoughts on that matchup?
I like Oklahoma. Like you said, they had a lot of highs and lows this season. They were one of the favorites to make the playoffs early in the year, and I think they finished the season 10-2, and I think they get their 11th win. And I think they get a solid win. I'm gonna say 34-13.
34-13 Sooners?
Yes.
Okay, now, no disrespect. I don't see it. I don't see You look at Oklahoma this year, and I watch Oklahoma very carefully. You know, Brent Venables, who's going to be a great head coach for the Sooners, but they just can't beat the teams they're supposed to beat. They lost a tough one at Kansas. They almost lost to UCF. They got a big win against Texas, but they just struggled after that Texas game against every team, even Cincinnati. And bad as Cincinnati is, they only beat the Bearcats by 2 touchdowns. So Oklahoma has been very up and down. They beat the team they're supposed to beat one week and go down to the death against somebody supposed to be by 40. Um, Arizona, in my opinion, is one of the most scariest teams in the country because They're one of a few teams that beat four ranked teams this year, and you know the Pac-12 was elite this year.
Yeah.
I have to say I was impressed with Arizona going to this year. I didn't expect Jed Fish Arizona to be where they at right now. I thought it was like a 7-win team, 6-6, 8 wins the most. But the teams they beat this year, they pushed Washington to the brink. They almost beat USC. They beat Oklahoma, Oregon State. They beat Utah. I think they beat UCLA, and I think they beat also. That was the fourth team they beat. But for the teams they beat this year, a couple of them was playoff contenders at one point. But hats off to Jetfish and the Arizona Wildcats. I got Arizona winning a shootout. I got the Wildcats winning 31-28 to win the Animal Bowl. I just feel like Arizona's offense is so good, and in Oklahoma against high scoring offenses, they've struggled. If you look at the UCF game, you know Gus Malzahn is one of the premier offensive minded coach in the country. He found different ways, not only through the ground game, but through the pass game to keep Oklahoma off balance. If you keep Oklahoma off balance for 4 quarters, I could see Arizona stealing this win away from the Sooners. But I got the Wildcats winning the bowl game and getting win number 9. Next game we're going to talk about is also taking place at the Lone Star State. Two sort of Big 12 rivals taking place in this one. You got number 20 ranked Oklahoma State taking on the Texas A&M Aggies. Now, before we get into this matchup, Texas A&M been through a lot of stuff this year. You know, they lost Jimbo. They got to pay him $77 million just to sit his behind all summer. They hired Mike Echo from Duke. I think he was Jimbo's defensive coordinator for 2 years at A&M. But they finished the season strong. We thought for back-to-back years that the Aggies was not bowl hunted. But they finished strong. They got some big wins out of stretch. And they finished 7-5 to get back to the bowl eligibility. They're taking on a scary Oklahoma State team. Now, of course, they ran into a juggernaut Texas who had pretty much one side of that football game. But Ollie Gordon, probably one of the best running backs in college football, he was held in check against Oklahoma. He's going to break out against Texas A&M. I think a sturdy ground attack led by Ollie Gordon is going to be the difference in this matchup against A&M. I got the Cowboys beating Texas A&M 35-17 to win the Texas Bowl.
I like Oklahoma State too. Like you said, Texas A&M, they've been through a lot this year with them getting rid of Jimbo Fisher and bringing in a new coach. I think Oklahoma State, even coming off the heartbreaking loss last night to Texas, they finished the season on a good note, and I say they win 28-14.
28-14 Cowboys.
Yes, sir.
Next bowl we will talk about, it's going to be the Guaranteed Rate Bowl between Kansas and UNLV. Now, Kansas was on top of the college football world at one point, getting a huge win against Oklahoma at home, but kind of faltered down the stretch. UNLV just won. I think they just won the Mountain West Conference Championship. What's your thoughts going this match between UNLV and Kansas?
I like both these teams. I like what they were able to accomplish this year. Both overperformed on, I believe, what their expectations were before the season. I think this is a close matchup. I think I'm going to go with Kansas in a not real high scoring, but kind of high scoring game. I'd say they win 24-21.
I'm going to agree with you on this one. Not really watch too much UNLV football, but I watch enough Kansas football to know that Kansas compete with a lot of good teams in the Big 12. They competed well against Texas. They competed well in the rivalry against Kansas State. They upset Oklahoma. If a couple of breaks with Kansas way, they lost a tough one to Oklahoma State in Stillwater. If Kansas could finish games, they would have been playing for the Big 12 championship. Probably would have pushed Texas to the brink of elimination. But I'm going to pick Jayhawks 27-17 to knock off UNLV to win the Rate Bowl. Down there in Fort Worth, Texas. Now, this game, I circled down on my calendar. This game is announced. These two teams at one point was fighting fourth spot in the New Year's Six Bowl, but unfortunately, two losses for Air Force has knocked them out of the running. And then, of course, James Madison also heartbreaker to Appalachian State at home. You got James Madison, Appalachian State battling out for Group of Five supremacy in the Armed Forces Bowl. What are your thoughts on that matchup?
I like James Madison. They've been real impressive all year. Um, I think they're just going to prove too much for Air Force.
What you got? What you think is the biggest factor in that game between the Dukes and the Falcons?
I believe it comes down to the play of James Madison's quarterback. He's been having a great year. I think he finishes the season on a great note, get the bowl win, and I give him 27-17. James Madison.
I found out some disappointed news about the quarterback James McLeod. He's actually intercepted the transfer portal because we all James Madison head coach took the Indiana job, so he's gone. He won't be coaching that game. And then James Madison quarterback James McLeod entered himself in the transfer portal. So unfortunately, both those guys, we don't know if James McLeod going to play in the bowl game, but if they're both not playing, I could see Air Force upsetting James Madison in this one. And with those two factors being involved, I'm going to pick Air Force to upset the Dukes 20-17 to win the Armed Forces Bowl down there in Fort Worth. I just see without the head coach who runs the engine of the team, and then now their quarterback is transferred for the third time. I don't see James Madison getting the job done without their quarterback. I got the Falcons winning 20-17 to win the Armed Forces Bowl. Taking place now in Montgomery, Alabama, in your neck of the woods. The Chameleon Bowl between Arkansas State and Northern Illinois. Your thoughts on this matchup?
Honestly, I don't know too much about either one of these teams this year. Uh, but I'm gonna just take a shot in the dark, and I'm gonna go Arkansas State, and I'll say they win a high scoring match, 42-38.
42-38. I'm with you on this one. I have not watched any two teams play probably ever in my life. I probably watched the Northern Illinois game with not Paxton Lynch, but Jordan Lynch played quarterback for the Huskies back in the 2013 season. But I never really watched Northern Illinois after that. I'm just gonna guess a game. I'm gonna actually go pick Northern Illinois because of my relationship with them when I watched them once upon a time. I'm gonna pick the Huskies winning 31-10 over Arkansas State. I have not watched really either one of these two teams play, but it's bowl season. We gotta pick even the games that we didn't really pay attention to these teams play. So, quite a few of these bowl games that we see these boys play. But I'm gonna pick the Huskies to win the Chameleon Bowl. Now, taking place in A-Town, the Florida A&M Rattlers, who was probably my surprising team in FCS, number one ranked defense in FCS football, top 10 offense. They'll take their SWAC championship to take on the MEAC champion, Howard Bison, in the Celebration Bowl. What are your thoughts in this match between the Rattlers and the Bison?
I like Florida A&M, and this is another one of the games. I really don't know too much about either team, but I did have a cousin that played catcher on the Florida A&M softball team
Oh, really?
some years back. So I'm gonna have to go with FAMU.
Well, Rattlers, hey man, if you a Rattler, you know something. Rattlers strike, and strike again. FAMU blows out Howard big time. Willie Simmons, probably one of the hottest coaching positions out there. Last year, USF was looking at him. Of course, Coach Deion Sanders was trying to get him to go to Boulder last year. But he's one of the hottest coaches in not only FCS football, but in college football alone. What he's done at Florida A&M since he's been there, uh, FAMU is going to be a problem. If FAMU to play the playoffs, they'll have been a deep run. I think they're number 5 in the country in FCS football. Rattlers blow out Howard 42-14. Kind of similar to the SWAC championship against Prairie View. I don't see Howard at all giving FAMU a problem, especially with that number one rate defense. I think the Rattlers are going to blow out Howard, and win the Celebration Bowl. Now we'll come back to Division One football, Power Five football, not Power Five, but you get what I'm saying. Back to the bowl season in Division One. The LA Bowl, the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. God, bowl game is that. UCLA and Boise State. Your thoughts on this matchup?
I'm gonna take Boise State.
Really?
They beat UNLV last night in the Mountain West Championship,
Also, beat
and then
one. Okay,
UCLA, their quarterback is transferring, and
again.
yeah, uh, what I think his name is Dante Moore. I think,
He was a backup. I think Ethan Garbage was starting this year.
but I think Boise State, they coming off that conference championship win. I think they're going to carry that through the bowl season. I think they're going to come away with a sound victory against UCLA.
Out of
I'm gonna
South,
say, yeah, I'm gonna say 34-17.
34-17. I like the quarterback from Boise State. They was comparing him to a Vince Young, uh, Taylor Green is his name actually. But Chip Kelly, that defense is gonna be a problem for that dual threat quarterback from Boise. Ethan Garbage can make enough plays, passing the football downfield. But you know Chip Kelly loves to run that football. And Boise State defense, I just don't see it. Uh, I got UCLA winning this one, 21-17 down there. Technically a home game for the Bruins. That's down there in Los Angeles. So in their backyard, it's going to be a pro Bruin crowd in that matchup. But Boise State fans love to travel, so don't be surprised to see the boys Boise bring the fan with them. But too much Bruins, too much defense in that matchup. I got the Bruins winning out with about 4 points in that matchup. Taking on down there in Shreveport, Louisiana, you got the Independence Bowl between Texas Tech and Cal. Who's your thoughts on that matchup?
Uh, I watched Cal play a little bit this season, not a whole lot. I don't really know a whole lot about Texas Tech, but based off what I did see from Cal, they did have good moments. So I'm gonna go with Cal. I'm gonna say it's a close game. I think it's gonna be low scoring. But I'm gonna go Cal 17-14.
Cal 17-14.
Mm.
Haven't watched too much Texas Tech either since Michael Crabtree was in college. That's a long time ago. I'm go Cal, go to Bears. I watched them firsthand against Auburn, and they get Auburn ran for the money. But that game against USC, and Wallace Phillips said, I hope you watched it because y'all did cheat Cal in that game. He's a USC fan, quote unquote.
Oh
Uh,
God.
I'm gonna go Cal this one, 30-13 to win the Independence Bowl. I just don't see Texas Tech with enough offensive firepower to knock off the Golden Bears. In the Cure Bowl down there in Orlando, you got the Miami of Ohio Redhawks taking on the App State Mountaineers. Your thought of this matchup?
I like App State. Uh, Again, another bowl game. I don't know a whole lot about either team, but I've always kind of liked Appalachian State ever since their big upstate against Michigan way back when. So
Uh,
I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna go Appalachian State.
Appalachian State, Miami, Ohio. I think they won the MAC championship yesterday. I don't know if they did or not, but
Yeah,
I'm gonna say um, App State. App State one of the most consistent teams in college football, not college football, but since they've been in Division One football, Appalachian State's been one of the more consistent group of five teams in college football. I can really see Appalachian State win this one big. I'm gonna go Mountaineers 21-3 to win the Cure Bowl down there in Orlando. Good trip for both teams, especially Miami, Ohio. Come away
yeah.
from the Midwest to come down to sunny Florida, get to see some sun for once, because you know they see a lot of snow here in Ohio. Next matchup taking place in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Actually, no, Conway, South Carolina, not Myrtle Beach. But the Myrtle Beach Bowl has our good old friends from Statesboro, Georgia, the Georgia Southern Golden Eagles, taking on the Ohio Bobcats. Your thoughts on this matchup?
I'm gonna go Georgia Southern.
I know much about these teams, but these bowl games going to be on TV, so we got to watch them. So you got Georgia Southern winning. What's your score in that matchup?
uh, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say 28-27. I think it's gonna be really close.
Georgia Southern with the win.
Yep.
I'm agree with you this one. I'm a big fan of Georgia Southern. Very nice campus. I visited a couple of years ago when I went to Statesboro for the first time ever. It get pretty hot down there. Down there in the borough, but I got the Eagles winning that one 24-10 to win the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Down there in New Orleans, you got Jacksonville State taking on Louisiana Lafayette in the New Orleans Bowl presented by all the carriers. Once again, another two teams I haven't really watched. Uh, Jacksonville State played Troy in the, I think it was the Sun Belt Championship because, Georgia Southern could participate because, not Georgia Southern, but James Madison could participate in it because, their whole thing with
Yeah.
AAA, Power 5, all that stuff. So they were suspended again, but they was allowed to play in the bowl game, which is good. And now Jacksonville State's in the same position too, but they was allowed to play in the conference championship, which they played against Troy the other night. I'm gonna go Jacksonville State. I don't like Louisiana Lafayette because the Gators head coach is from over there, and you see what he's done to us so far. So, if y'all want to take him back, please take him back. We don't want him no more. I don't want him no more. Benedict Pierre, I hope you're hearing this. I don't want you to be here still. I want to start a GoFundMe to get this man out of here. Jacksonville State Gamecocks winning this one 24-10 to win the New Orleans Bowl against Louisiana Lafayette. Next matchup, we're going to talk about, got a couple more on here. Marshall and UTSA in the Frisco Bowl in Frisco, Texas. Sorry, I say. What are your thoughts on this matchup between the Thunder Herd and the Roadrunners of UTSA?
I'm gonna take Texas San Antonio. They've had a better season than Marshall so far, and I think they ended on a high note with the bowl victory. I'm gonna take them 31-21.
31-21 Roadrunners?
Yes.
I can see that. I got the Roadrunners winning a tough one against a game Marshall Thunder Herd. 21-14. I got the Roadrunners winning a close one to claim the Frisco Bowl. This next matchup is taking place in Charlotte, North Carolina. Originally, it was supposed to be in Nassau, Bahamas, but I just found out this game is moved to Charlotte, North Carolina. It's the famous Toaster Bowl between Western Kentucky and Old Dominion. Your thoughts on this matchup?
I like Old Dominion.
You got Old Dominion for that matchup.
I think it's going to be a shootout. I'm gonna take Old Dominion 42-38.
Huh. That's not a bad call. I haven't really watched Old Dominion play really since they've been part of Division One. Outside of that huge win versus Virginia Tech a couple years ago, I'm going to say I might agree with you on this one. Even though West Kentucky has a lot of great talent come through there over the last several years. Now, I don't know if you know this, but do you know Minister Daniel Williams from Jessup?
I don't know. I'd have to see him.
Did you watch the Youth Revival this year at Youth Convention at headquarters?
I don't think so.
Okay, so he's a minister from Jessup. He played football in Western Kentucky.
Oh, really?
So, fortunately, preacher, I'm not picking your boys. I'm gonna go Old Dominion in a shootout as well. 31-28. Old Dominion winning the famous Toaster Bowl down there in Charlotte. A few other teams, bowl destination has not been announced yet. Let's see if I can get some more bowl games because some of these teams are still looking for opponents. Like, for example, Let's do this. Let's feel the bowl games over here. Let's do Georgia State versus Idaho. I'm sorry, Georgia State versus Utah State in the famous Idaho Potatoes Bowl. Who you got that one?
I'm gonna go with the Georgia State. I'm gonna go with Georgia State. I think it's a close game. Uh, I think Georgia State comes out 17-14.
That's a long trip to Idaho for the boys from ATL. Gonna be a cold one too on the blue turf. It's gonna be a wonderful experience for the boys from Atlanta to play on the blue turf for the first time ever. Uh, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Georgia State as well. I haven't watched too much Utah State football over the years. I'm gonna go Georgia State winning this one 24-17 to beat Utah State in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Uh, the Las Vegas Bowl, Northwestern versus Utah. Let's go with you on this one. What's your thoughts on this matchup?
I'm gonna take Utah. Uh, coming into the season, Utah had a lot of high expectations. Things obviously didn't go the way they wanted them to, but I think Utah comes away with a win.
I agree, especially with all the adversity. Now, I give kudos to Northwestern for turning their season around with the whole hazing incident with their former head coach. But Utah's been in a tough conference all year. I mean, the Pac-12, once again, I said before about UCLA and Arizona. The Pac-12 is probably the most deep team in college football this year. All those ranked teams they had in there. Utah's defense is going to be the issue and the driving force to a good defense and a great running game. They also found out that the back quarterback, I think it's Bryson Johnson, he's transferring from Utah, so they're gonna lose another quarterback. We don't know if Cam Rising coming back next year, but yeah, it's gonna be it's a lot going on over there in Utah. A lot of change gonna happen. But I think Ty Willingham will have his guys ready. I got the Utes winning 20-13, a low scoring matchup. Next bowl game would have the Hawaii Bowl down there in Honolulu. You got San Jose State taking on Coastal Carolina. Uh, I'm a big fan of Coastal Carolina. Their quarterback, Grayson McCall, just entered the transfer portal again. Of course, his head coach from a couple years ago took the Liberty job, and you see what he did at Liberty this year, getting them to the Fiesta Bowl against Oregon. Can't really watch that matchup. But Grayson McCall is probably one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in college football. A 10,000-yard passer, 100 touchdowns career. He's going to turn around any program he goes to. As long as they have the right pieces for him, he's going to be a successful quarterback. Now, Auburn was trying to get him last year, but eventually flipped and went back to Coastal. But Auburn is a team to look out for to get Grayson McCall's services going next year. But this matchup against San Jose State, I don't see San Jose State making this game even close. I got the Chanticleers winning this one 35-7.
Really, I'm gonna go with San Jose State.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think especially with Grayson McCall entering the transfer portal, I don't know if he's going to play the ball game or not. But I think San Jose State wins the game. I think it's a close game, 23-20.
So you got the boys from Cali with the big dub on the West Coast, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right, okay, I see. I see what you're talking about. The First Responders Bowl down there in Dallas, aka Jerry's World. You got the hometown favorite Texas State Bobcats taking on the Rice Owls. Your thoughts on this matchup?
That's another game. I don't really know a whole lot about either of the teams, but I think I'm gonna go with the Texas State Bobcats and high scoring game, 35-31.
35-31. I'm gonna go Rice. I'm gonna go with the. I'm not going Rice. I'm gonna go Texas State. I was gonna pick Rice, but I don't see it. I'm gonna go Texas State with 34-17 over the Rice Owls. Next bowl that we're talking about, the Quick Lane Bowl down there in the D, Detroit, Michigan. Over there with my good old friend No, I thought I was talking about Illinois, but the Quick Lane Bowl between Bowling Green and Minnesota. What you got?
Uh, Bowling Green's had a pretty solid year this year. I think they finished it out with a big win over Minnesota. I'm gonna go 28-10, Bowling Green.
My thoughts in this bowl game: PJ Fleck has done a solid job keeping Michigan, not Michigan, but Minnesota afloat. You know, once upon a time, Minnesota was one of the bottom feeders in the Big Ten, but when Jerry Kill took over, he got the boys back to the highs of high. And then when Jerry Kill retired, PJ Fleck took over. And just a couple of years ago, he had Tanner Morgan and Rashad Bateman. The boys won the top teams competing in the Big Ten, beating like Penn State on an annual basis. But now Tanner Morgan's gone and Rashad Bateman's gone to the NFL. Minnesota is not trash, but they're like mid. They're like mid. They're like in the middle of the Big Ten West, which is probably one of the weakest divisions in college football because we all know the Big Ten East is the toughest division in the Big Ten. Kind of the SEC West, but the SEC East is slowly catching the SEC West. Teams like Tennessee turning around over here, Kentucky's turning around. South Carolina City's a little couple of kicks to get this stuff started, but they're bound to upset somebody else. So I'm gonna say PJ Fleck rolls the boat and gets Minnesota a big win down in Detroit, 20-13 to win the Quick Lane Bowl for the Golden Gophers. Uh, the 68 Ventures Bowl down there in your neck of the woods again, Mobile, Alabama. Uh, between Eastern Michigan and South Alabama. Your thoughts on this bowl?
I got to go with South Alabama. You know, that's right in their backyard. I don't think they're going to let the hometown people down. So I'm going to go South Alabama. I think they're going to have a big win against Eastern Michigan. I think they're going to win 28-7.
Eastern Michigan, I want to pick y'all. I really do. But the way South Alabama played against, now we forgot South Alabama upset Oklahoma State over in Stillwater this year. For those who not know, South Alabama got a huge win against the Cowboys. Oklahoma State. I just don't see Eastern Michigan making this a game. I'm gonna pick South Alabama to get the big win in front of a pro South Alabama crowd. 37-17 over the Eagles, Eastern Michigan. It's gonna be a long ride back for those boys. South Alabama rolls big time against them in the 68 Ventures Bowl. Good win for South Alabama in front of the hometown crowd. Next bowl that we're talking about, a few more that's on here. Let's talk about the New Mexico Bowl, one of the older bowls on here. Hometown New Mexico State will be in this matchup, taking on Fresno State. Your thoughts on this matchup?
I'm going to go with New Mexico State. You know, watching them play against Auburn with the big upset at Auburn. They come up just a little, you know, a couple plays short against Liberty in their conference game yesterday. But I'm going to go with New Mexico State.
Mexico State, that win against Auburn was not only just humiliating for the Tigers, but their first ever SEC win for the Aggies of Mexico State. I'm going to go Aggies in this one over the Bulldogs of Fresno State, 31-21, as they take care of business to win the New Mexico Bowl. Let's see if we got any more bowls updated on here. I don't see anyone's update. USF still looking for a matchup in the Boca Raton Bowl. The Birmingham Bowl hasn't been announced yet. Maybe if I refresh the page, they'll probably announce it. I think we're missing the Military Bowl, the Duke's Mayo Bowl. They announced this one, though. The Holiday Bowl just got announced. USC taking the 15th ranked Louisville. Your thoughts on this matchup?
I think Louisville wins easily.
Really? You think Caleb Williams going to play this game?
I don't know. At the same time, even if he does play, I don't know if it's going to matter at this point. Uh, USC is really taking a step back this year compared to where everybody thought they were going to be. Uh, and Louisville, they've had a great year. They lost a tough one last night to Florida State. So I think they just come out with a chip on their shoulder, and it's no contest. Louisville, 35-14.
Yeesh. Well, you heartless, aren't you, my friend?
Sorry,
Uh,
Wallace.
I know Wall's gonna hate me for that. Here's my thoughts on this matchup. USC, we're talking about defenses. Yes, USC defense is probably worse in college football. But Caleb Williams played. USC can score with anybody in college football, even the teams in the playoffs right now. Uh, if USC defense could just find a backbone and come with it in this matchup, and they're pretty much the hometown team in this matchup. This game taking place over there in San Diego, not too far from USC's campus. But Caleb Williams and USC go upset. My first upset of bowl season. I got USC knocking off number 15 Louisville. I'm gonna say this why. The last 3 weeks, Louisville looked horrible offensively. They struggled against a 7-win Kentucky team. And last night, now we all know Florida State got a good defense, but the way they struggled offensively, they looked like they were supposed to be in that game yesterday. Uh, Good season though for Braum and his guys from Louisville, Kentucky. But I think the men of Troy is going to find their backbone defensively and help lead this USC team to a huge upset. USC gets win number 9. They win in a shootout 45-35. Caleb Williams, if he does play, going to throw for at least 6 touchdowns on that Louisville defense. I just don't see Louisville offensively keeping up that defense, the offense I mean of USC. And I think USC, with everything on the line, all the pride left last game of the season, this is gonna be the best defensive performance that defense gonna face all year. I think USC defense is gonna be the reason why they win this game. This next matchup taking place in Orlando as well. There are a lot of bowl games this year. The Pop Tarts Bowl, number what do they come with these bowl games? Remember once upon a time they had a bowl game called the Tony the Tiger Bowl. They had the Popeyes Bowl. Like all this food is making me hungry. Number 18 NC State taking on number 25 Kansas State in the Pop Tart Bowl. Your thoughts on this matchup?
This is another one I think is going to be a really good matchup. I do like NC State coming away with a victory. I think it's going to be a real close matchup. I think that NC State wins 27-24. Uh, Kansas State, their quarterback, he's going in the transfer portal. I don't think they're going to be able to perform the way they would like to, and so NC State comes away with a victory.
Okay. Uh, if you look at both schools, both their quarterbacks are in the transfer portal. MJ Morris from NC State is in the portal for NC State. I'm so mad at him. And I'm gonna say this why. You was a starter. Last time we saw him, we had a huge win against Clemson at home. I think maybe the week after, he redshirted himself. He said the rest of it, he said, I believe I'm going to start next year, going to spring camp. Let me go ahead and sit myself out and redshirt the rest of the year. And he told not only his coach, but his team, but the school, that he was not intending to transfer. And his father came for the record and say, oh yeah, my son's not transferring. He's going to stay at Wolfpack.
Wow.
Just last week, he entered himself in the transfer portal. It's like all that you told the school is like you betrayed them. You told him you wasn't going to transfer. You're going to wait till the spring, become the full hot starter, going to your sophomore season. Now you're in the transfer portal. And now you got Will Howard transfer portal for Kansas State. I think NC State's going to ride the ship. They've been pretty solid all year long. The boys from Raleigh, North Carolina, is going to get the dub over the boys from Manhattan, Kansas. It's going to be a close game, too. I'm going to say 31-27. NC State gets the huge win against Kansas State. Let's see the more bowl games been updated or announced. I haven't seen anything updated. I said to find some more. If they updated them all, I'm gonna go to ESPN and see they have all the games on here yet. But let's go ahead and hop into the college football playoff matchups. We're gonna start with your team first. Number 4 Alabama taking on number 1 Michigan. Now, before you make your prediction, give us the keys to how Bama beats Michigan.
I think it's going to come down to the play of the quarterback for Alabama. Uh, whether or not Jalen Milroe he makes the best decisions. Uh, I don't think he can take a lot of sacks this game. I think he's going to have to make a lot of plays with his feet and not force a lot of passes, which he's been doing really good these last few weeks as far as, not turning the ball over, protecting the ball, tucking it, running and getting what he can get. So I think it comes down to him and his decision making.
All right. So, what is your prediction in this number 1 versus 4 matchup in the college football playoff semis?
I think this could be probably one of the best games of the year.
Really?
Um, yeah, Michigan, they've been playing great all season. Me personally, I don't think they've really had the strongest schedules, and I don't think they've been tested like Alabama's been tested this year. Of course, Alabama does have that tough loss against Texas, uh, really early in the season, and the only ranked teams that I know that Michigan has played has been Penn State in their 10th game of the year, and then Ohio State in the 12th game of their season. So I think, of course, I think Alabama's going to win, but uh, I think it's a good game. Uh, but Alabama pulls away in the second half. So I'm gonna give them a 2 touchdown win. I'm gonna say 38-24.
Oh, Walls ain't gonna like you for this one. You already 0 for 2 this man already. Um, and I talked to Walls about this all year long about Michigan. Michigan is so dominant defensively that the offense ain't got to do too much. But against Alabama, you're gonna have to put points up. And I told Watson last night, you're gonna have to put points up to beat Alabama because Alabama's offense is more dynamic now. With now Jalen Milroe coming of his own, being not more as an elite runner, but he became a better passer since the USF game. His breakout performance, though, I watched in person, not at the game, but on TV. That Alabama against LSU, when he
Hmm.
was going toe to toe, like 2 prize fighters in a boxing match. Both quarterbacks over 400 yards total offense. Here's what I'm trying to say: JJ McCarthy has to play his best football game of his life to beat Nick Saban, Alabama. This could be a good matchup. I think Jim Harbaugh is already 0-1 against Nick Saban because I remember a couple of years ago in the Citrus Bowl, Alabama beat Jim Harbaugh, Michigan, that matchup. So Nick Saban has an edge over Jim Harbaugh head to head in college football. I think Nick Saban's gonna stay perfect against Michigan and Jim Harbaugh. I think Alabama's going to win this one. I think Bama's defense is going to be the deciding fact. I think because of the fact that J.J. McCarthy offense is so slow and lethargic. I think Bama's defense is going to find a way to slow down that Michigan attack. Blake Core is going to be a non-factor in this match. I think they're going to limit the run game of Michigan. They're going to make J.J. McCarthy throw the football downfield. And that's what Nick Saban wants you to be at, one-dimensional against him because he's one of the smartest defensive minds in college
Hmm.
football. I'm going to say Bama's going to win this one 34-21 to reach the national championship. We're going to go to our next college football playoff semifinal. Now, I'm going to talk a lot about this one because I'm a huge fan of Michael Penix Jr., so you're gonna let me. I'm gonna talk a little bit about this guy. The college football semifinal in New Orleans, the All-State Sugar Bowl between number 2 Washington, champions of the Pac-12, and number 3 Texas, their first ever playoff appearance, champions of the Big 12. Before you get to your prediction, I'm gonna go make mine. This is probably the most high-scoring bowl game of the season right here. These two teams are gonna at least combine for over 100 points. Neither team can really play defense. Quinn Ewers gonna throw. I like Quinn Ewers' game. I watched him against. Sorry, man. That loss to Bama. That loss to Texas still stings you a little bit. A little bit. I know it does. I just see they're gonna put up points. Quinn Ewers gonna throw at least 350 in this matchup. But Michael Penix, what can I say about Michael Penix? I've been following him since he was in Indiana. Uh, Probably most dynamic quarterback the last 2 seasons of college football for what he's done under Brian DeBoer's offense over there in Washington. Now he was his old offensive coordinator over there at Indiana when he first got noticed, and then when he came to Washington, he said, "I'm gonna go join my OC in Washington." But Washington missed out on the playoffs last year, but they said they weren't missing this year. I got Washington winning in a big game 49-42 to reach the national championship against Bama. I really feel like Michael Penix is going to be the Heisman Trophy winner. Does he deserve it? Yes. But is he the best college football player? No. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes about who he thinks should win the Heisman. They announced the Heisman finalist, but we kind of have a figure who's going to be the finalist.
Yeah.
I got Texas losing, unfortunately. Great season for Steve Sarkisian and the Longhorns. But I think Washington's going to win and advance in that championship. They win 49-42 over the Longhorns.
All right. I've been waiting on this one. So I like Washington. I do. I've been watching Michael Penix all year. I'm a big fan of his. He's been great. Um, I I've always loved left-handed quarterbacks. Like he's very accurate. He's got good arm strength. He's great decision making. But if they want to put Alabama in the playoff, I'd be going for Washington. But I'm gonna go Texas because I want that rematch. I want that rematch. I've been having to hear it all year. I work with a guy. He's a big Texas fan. He every time he walked past me, he do the hook 'em horns. And man, I think I think it would be a great, you know, not only a great matchup, but like a great story to finish college football season, especially for Alabama being the one loss at home against a very tough Texas team to fight and claw your way back to make the playoffs in the end, and for Texas to also make the playoffs, and you get them again in the national championship for all the marbles to with a chance to avenge that one loss. You know, I that's the matchup I want. I think that would be the best matchup in the playoffs, and I think, of course, Alabama will come away with a win. But I'm gonna have to take Texas. Uh, I agree with you. I think it's gonna be a lot of offensive firepower, a lot of big plays, a very exciting game to watch. But I think Texas gets the edge. I'm gonna say 52-49.
So we both know it's gonna be a high score game. I gotta stay in logic though, because Washington definitely struggled the last 7 weeks before they got together against Oregon. But that's probably gonna be the highest score bowl game of the year between the Huskies and the Longhorns. But we both were looking forward to this these bowl games, these college football playoff semifinals. I am pretty excited to see what happens. As long as we both know Michigan's not going to the title game, I'm okay with that. All right, I don't see Michigan get to the national championship. Honestly, I don't. It's either Bama versus Texas or Bama versus Washington title game. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
don't get me wrong. I like Michigan's coach. I like Jim Harbaugh. I liked him when he was in the NFL with the 49ers. I think he's a great coach. Even with all the off the field allegations and stuff that Michigan had going on with him this season, I still think he's probably one of the top coaches in college football. but this is his third year in a row making the playoffs. He's 0-2 in the playoffs. He's never won a playoff game, and I don't think this is his first year winning a playoff game. I think he goes 0-3. But so it's nothing. It ain't personal. It's just
Oh, it's
business.
not personal.
Roll Tide.
Roll. So we talk about that championship. We'll talk about that when we get to that point. We're not going to do that yet. We got a couple more bowl games that just got finalized. So we got a couple more bowl games, buddy. First one, the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Memphis and Iowa State. Memphis being the hometown team in this matchup. Thoughts on this matchup?
Memphis and Iowa State. Uh, Iowa State's one of them teams I thought was going to be a lot better than they were this year. Uh, I had more expectations for them, but I think I'm gonna take Memphis. Uh, I don't think it's not going to be a blowout, but I don't think it's going to be close. I think Memphis wins 20-10.
2010. I agree with you. Iowa State took a step back. I think last couple of years since Brock Purdy's been gone, good that they get in a bowl game, but Memphis feed off that home crowd down there in Tennessee. I got the Tigers winning 24-10 to win the AutoZone Liberty Bowl against a pro Memphis crowd. Couple more bowl games on this list. SEC Big Ten matchup down there in Nashville, the Music City Bowl. Auburn, your boys over there from Alabama, taking on Maryland in the Music City Bowl. Who you got this matchup?
Well, I am an Alabama fan, but I do have a lot of respect for Auburn. Uh, I'm the type, I'd like to see Alabama and Auburn go undefeated all year, and then Alabama spank them in the Iron Bowl. But I'm gonna go with Auburn this game. I like their coach Hugh Freeze. I think he's done a good job for his first year. Uh, he was in a lot of. They had a lot of close games. Of course, everybody's seen the miracle at Jordan Hare with Auburn almost upsetting Alabama. So I'm gonna go with Auburn over Maryland. I think Auburn gets a solid win. I'm gonna go 28-17.
28-17. I give a lot of credit to Hugh Freeze, but that New Mexico State loss was horrendous.
Yeah.
Pretty bad. Probably one of the worst I've seen in quite a while. I'm gonna go Tua's little brother in Maryland getting an upset against SEC power Auburn, 21-17. I got the Terps getting a win over Auburn. I just see him having a breakout game in his final collegiate game. Hopefully, Jordan's brother in the NFL. Hopefully, his opportunity. But Tua's little brother gonna have a really good game in that match. I think his name is Tulia Tagovailoa.
At Talia.
Yeah, Tulia. I think Tulia's gonna have a breakout game against Auburn. Show why he is good a quarterback he is. One of the better QBs in the Big Ten. Got the Terps upsetting Auburn in the Music City Bowl. Now, this matchup right here, defense versus offense. The Reliant Quest Bowl. Wisconsin versus number 13 LSU. Jaden Daniels versus Luke Fickle's defense over there in Wisconsin. Your thoughts on this matchup?
I like LSU. Yes, it's hard to go against the SEC. Wisconsin's another one of those teams that kind of I think has taken a step back this year. Uh, Historically, yeah, they've always had a solid team on both sides of the ball. But Jaden Daniels, he's had a great year. He's probably my favorite for the Heisman, but I know we'll get to that in a minute. But I'm gonna go LSU. I think LSU is gonna win big. I think Jaden Daniels he's gonna have a great game. Uh, Either celebrating the Heisman or he's gonna play with a chip on his shoulder for not winning the Heisman. But I think he puts up a lot of numbers. I think he helps LSU to score a lot of points. And I think LSU wins big. I'm going to say 42-21.
42-21. LSU, I can see LSU
Yep.
for Jaden Daniels got at least about 500 yards total offense before the fourth quarter. I got the Tigers winning. Pretty much he'll solidify his spot in New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony. He's definitely records wise, stats wise, the most not only most impactful player to his team, but the best overall college football player in the country. Records shouldn't matter about Heisman Trophy winning. It's been proven already. Tebow won it
Right.
with losses. Lamar and RG3 both won it with 3 losses. You take JD Davis off that LSU team. LSU's not winning 6 games. Nothing against Doug Nussmeier's son, who's a backup behind him. They're not going to be doing things explosive as what J.D. Dill's done at LSU. He has over 50 touchdowns combined so far this year. He leads all FBS quarterbacks with 1,100 yards rushing. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if he don't win the Heisman Trophy win. The only quarterback I see competing with him for the Heisman Trophy would be Michael Penix. So really a two-headed race. I think Bo Nix will be invited as well. I think it's gonna be those 3 guys going to New York for the Heisman Trophy. Next bowl game we're gonna have the Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl, Toledo versus Wyoming. Your thoughts?
Uh, Toledo's had a great year. You know, they finished the season 11-2. So I'm gonna take Toledo. Uh, you know, getting their 12th win of the season.
You got the Rockets winning the big one. I'm,
Yep.
I'm agreeing with you. I think Toledo's definitely turned around this year. Big ups to the Rockets over there in Ohio. I don't see the boys, the Cowboys for Wyoming making this a game. 35-7 Rockets blow this game open, and the Stars will be done by third quarter. It's going to be an ugly game out there at Tempe. This game just got announced on CBSSports.com. The Pinstripe Bowl down there in New York City. Miami, the Hurricanes of Miami taking on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Your thoughts on this matchup?
Uh, I think this is one of them games that could go either way. Uh, you know, Miami, they started out real great and then lost some tough games to a couple people and kind of fell off. Their quarterback, I believe, Tyler Van Dyke, is also entering the transfer portal, so he's leaving. Uh, so I'm gonna have to give the edge to Rutgers. You know, I think it's gonna be a close game, but I'm gonna go Rutgers 30-24.
So you got the Scarlet Knights and Greg Schiano Company getting the dub over Mario Cristobal and the Canes. The backup for Miami's not bad. I like him. I watched him play against Florida State. He looked really good before he got banged up with injury. They have a question mark at quarterback going into this bowl game. Is Tyler Van Dyke playing? We probably not. Uh, I really want the Canes to win. They got a lot of guys going to the portal. Greg Shelton has done a great job. I think his second year at Rutgers turned the Rutgers into I think a 7 or 8 win program. Tough sledding for the Canes. I think their season kind of snowballed after that tough loss against Georgia Tech. Fortunately for the Canes, I don't see y'all win this game either. I think Miami's gonna fall 21-13 as Rutgers get win number 9 over the Canes in the Pinstripe Bowl. So let's go ahead and shift gears to the Heisman Trophy ceremony that's coming up soon. But actually, there's a couple more bowl games just got announced. The Duke's Mayo Bowl just got announced. North Carolina and West Virginia in this matchup. Drake May, probably his last collegiate football game. Another disappointing year for North Carolina down the stretch. But they can salvage it at home in front of the Charlotte-based crowd. Not far. I don't think it's but a couple hours away from their campus in Chapel Hill. But they welcome in the Mountaineers of West Virginia. What's your thoughts on this matchup?
I think I'm gonna go with North Carolina. I think Drake May he ends his college career with a great win. You know, in their bowl game against West Virginia. I think he has a big game. I think he probably throws for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. You know, to help boost his draft stock a little more than what it already is. So I say North Carolina, uh, 28-10.
2018.
Yeah,
Drake Mayswell is going to leave with a W. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think the Tar Heels going to win this one, blowing out West Virginia 38-10 over the Mountaineers. sitting on Drake May to the NFL draft and combine, which I think he still be a top 10 pick despite the collapse this year that his team is taking. Pretty excited to watch this bowl game. I haven't watched Drake May up close so far this year, but I definitely looking to see him play in his final collegiate game against the Mountaineers of West Virginia. So I'm looking at the Heisman finalist list. Now they have not announced it yet, but it's going to be announced sometime this week. According to US Today, here's their front runners for the Heisman Trophy. Uh, they got Bo Nix number one, J.D. Daniels two, Michael Penix three, Carson Beck up there, Marvin Harris is up there, and Jalen Milroe is getting some recognition as a Heisman finalist. Um, Out of those guys, right? Who do you who do you think is the biggest threat to Jaden Daniels winning the Heisman Trophy?
I would have to say Michael Penix. Uh, Washington finished the season undefeated, Pac-12 champions, in a very stacked Pac-12 conference this year. Uh, Penix, he played great all season. He was good last year. He was even better this year. And they beat Oregon twice, once during the regular season and again in a rematch for the conference championship. So, that's twice that I think he outplayed Bo Nix. Uh, so yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Michael Penix. Uh, I wouldn't be surprised if he did win it, but Jaden Daniels is still my favorite.
Uh, I agree. Michael Penix, you got to throw in Bo Nix as a wild card, even
Yeah,
though Penix beat Bo Nix both games, and Penix wasn't his best against Bo Nix the second time around. But I think Penix and Jaden Daniels are the two-man race for the Heisman Trophy. Uh, who's your winner of the 2023 Heisman Trophy winner?
I'm
And
gonna go with Jaden Daniels. You
why
said,
you with the Heisman?
well, if you look in the past, a lot of people will argue he shouldn't get it because they've lost 3 games this season. But if you look at some of the past Heisman winners, you can see RG3 at Baylor. He won it. He had a great season, but they lost a few games. And Lamar Jackson, I think more recently, he had a great season with Louisville, but they still lost a few games. But it comes down to, you know, the Heisman Trophy is the biggest individual trophy a person can win. It's not uh, a team trophy, even though it takes a team to help you win it. But if you look at everything Jaden Daniels has done on the field this year, his stats, uh, the way he plays the game, he helps elevate the players around him to perform better. Uh, and against the Alabama game or against Alabama and him and Jalen Milroe going back and forth the way they did, I think earlier you compared it to a boxing match, and that's exactly what it was. But even that game, yeah, LSU lost, but I think Jaden Daniels did end up having the better game compared between him and Jalen Milroe. So I don't think you should look at the team's overall record to base who should win the Heisman, off of that. It comes down to that individual player and what they've accomplished on the field. And I don't think anybody's had a better season in college football than Jaden Daniels.
I totally agree with you. The Heisman Trophy should be for the best player or the best team. It should be going to the best overall player and how much that player makes to that team. Now, granted, neither team, LSU or Washington, will be where they at if their quarterbacks were there. Uh,
Right.
but if you look at the numbers, Jaden Daniels leads the NCAA in QBR rating. He leads the NCAA in rushing yards by quarterback. And I believe he's second behind Penix or Nix in passing touchdowns. And I think he leads the nation in passing yards. So the Heisman should go to the best player on the best team. It should go to the best overall player, no matter record, seed, in the playoffs or not. LSU is nowhere near in the playoff. But if you take Jaden Daniels off LSU, they might not win 2 games this year.
Yeah.
And the way he changed the game, not only as a passer, but as a runner, has me solidified that Jimmy is the first round pick going to this fall NFL draft. Um, the way he changed the game with his arm talent. His arm talent was always there, but the accuracy has improved since he's been at LSU. His decision making as a not only as a passer, but as a runner, making guys miss, turning it on late in games. I really feel like Jaden Daniels is not only the best player on LSU, but he's the best player in college football, and he deserves a Heisman Trophy. Now it's gonna come down to him and Michael Penix, but those two guys are my favorites to win the Heisman Trophy. It'll be a shock if Bo Nix or somebody else wins over Penix and Daniels.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Um, Now we know who we're picking for the Heisman. Let's got a couple more questions. Who's your most disappointing team in college football this year?
Ooh. Uh, I don't know. I thought uh, there's been several of them. I thought Utah was going to have a lot better season than they did. I was expecting Tennessee to have a lot better season than they did. Um, so I don't know. I can't pick one. I thought Iowa State was going to be a lot better than what they were. Uh, so there's a lot of them this year.
I had to give a couple. There's a couple of them, but if I had to give one in particular, and I know they turned it on late, but Clemson is probably my most disappointing team in college football because you ran DJ Ukulele out of there thinking he was the problem, and he
Mm,
wasn't. You have either the same record or even worse a record he had when he was there. His
yeah.
last year there, he went 9-3, I think, in Clemson. You hype King Kalupnik up like he's the next Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, he was a former 5-star recruit, but you look at his game. His game is not all that impressive. I mean, he's above average at best, but he's not a person that go out and go win a national championship unless you build around him. I love Will Shipley at running back. He's a great running back.
Yeah.
But King Columbus is not a guy that's going to get you to a playoff. He's not a guy that's going to. I watched him first hit against Tennessee last year. He's not the guy that's going to get Dabo another ring or even back in the playoff contention. If you look at his stats compared to Ukulele, Ukulele stats are either just as good as his or even better. Because it's the scheme that Ukulele was in last year. It didn't fit his play style. He's more of a game manager, under the center guy that's gonna make the right reads. And I think that offense he was in at Oregon State under Jonathan Smith really helped him out for being not only for not being a bust, but he's actually a solid NFL quarterback. Now he's gonna get drafted. I'm not saying that, but this year definitely made him draftable again. And I already thought last year he was not getting drafted, but this year he really turned it around in that system. Of course, he's in the portal again because, of course, his coach is gone. But Clemson's my most disappointing team, and in my 1B, it'll be actually I have three. Even though Clemson's number one, I'll add North Carolina to that list and Notre Dame because Notre Dame was playoffville USA in the preseason. You get
Mm,
best transfer quarterbacks and Sam Hartman. Uh, you have Marcus Freeman in second year, a loaded team offensively, defensively, and still a good season, but it wasn't to the liking of a lot of analysts and fans of what Notre Dame's going to have. Sam Hart supposed to get Notre Dame over the top. Who was the quarterback the year before last? Not Sam Hartman this year, but before Sam Hartman. It was Tyler Buckner, I think.
I can't remember.
But the quarterback before it wasn't it. So they went out and got a guy who's experienced, who could put up numbers and win games. And Sam Hartman was that guy.
Yeah.
He didn't play like a quarterback that could lead his team to a playoff. They couldn't beat the teams they should have beat. That Louisville loss was an ugly loss for Notre Dame. And then I think they turned around and lost what they lost to? They lost two games. Louisville lost to Clemson. That ugly loss two down there in Death Valley. Uh, Clemson turned around after that win. In North Carolina, 2 years straight, 3 years straight actually, even with Sam Howell at quarterback, North Carolina was poised to make a playoff run and just couldn't win games in a conference that mattered the most. Last 2 years, lost to Georgia Tech, I believe, including this year. Last year, they lost a heartbreaker to NC State at home. So it's the games that North Carolina can't win when it matters the most because North Carolina has a great offense. I mean, Mac Brown has really picked that program up by the throat and really turned him into a perennial power. When it comes down to it, North Carolina just don't have enough guns in the bullet to shoot with the rest of the top teams in the country because they can't
Right.
win the winnable games in conference. In the ACC as a whole, the last 3 seasons has been going further down. You know, Clemson was undefeated or a national power last 5 years, but the last 3 years, Clemson's been mid at best, mid or above
Right.
average. Florida State has turned around tremendously from being a 5-win program to get a snub for the playoff. The last 3 years, Florida State is probably the most improved team in the ACC. It's probably the best team in the ACC. They proved it yesterday. Louisville's on up and up. Miami's up and down. Clemson is starting to decline a little bit. So in North Carolina, actually, since Mac Brown been there, has been on the steady up and up, but they having bumps in the road.
Yep.
That's preventing North Carolina from being a playoff contender or even making the ACC championship game. Georgia Tech's been in their way. Other winnable games been in their way. The Clemson loss was a tough one. So I would say Clemson, North Carolina, and Notre Dame, and even I could throw Arkansas in there. Because you look at Arkansas,
Yeah. I forgot about Arkansas.
Kaden Jefferson and the Razorbacks were top 10 team going to a battle with Georgia.
Mm,
But Kaden Jefferson isn't the guy at Arkansas. You know, he entered the transfer portal. Uh,
yep.
Sam Pittman got to definitely turn that program around, or he's on the hot seat going next year. Um, but yeah, Arkansas never took a step back. A&M actually improved. Auburn took a little step back. Ole Miss took a step back. But yeah, those 4 teams are my most disappointing teams. And people who's watching right now, y'all comment down in the comment section. Who's your most disappointing team in college football this year? So we talk
See,
about point.
I can I agree with you on all of them except for Notre Dame.
Really?
Like, yeah, I mean, at at the same time, I do not like Notre Dame. They're probably my least favorite team in college football. But uh, I don't think they disappointed. I think they perform how I expected them to perform because it seemed like year in and year out, they start high ranked in the top 10, sometimes in the top five, and end of the year they're either just made it in the top 25 or they're right on the outside of the top 25 looking in with a 8-4 7-5 record. And every year, they expect them to make the playoffs, but they don't. So that's the only one I can't agree with you on. But like I said, I don't like them anyway.
Fair enough. I take that from you. So we talked about the most disappointing teams in college football. Who's your most surprising team in college football this year?
uh, I got a couple of them. I think number one, I would have to say James Madison. They're first, second year, first couple of years in Division One, they came and they showed out. I think they finished 11-1,
Yeah.
and they had a great year. So they were that was surprising. Florida State, I expected them to be really good. Florida State, they're my second favorite team in college football. Uh, I expected them to be good because they improved a lot last year. I didn't really expect them to go undefeated. I kind of figured, they might have lost one or two along the way, but very happy to see them go undefeated and win the ACC championship. Uh, and number three, I think I would have to say is Missouri. Uh,
Good ones.
you
Good.
know, Missouri for the last few years, in my opinion, they ain't been a whole lot better than Vanderbilt. As far as being in the SEC, they kind of, the last few years they've been really on the bottom. looking up, trying to climb out the hole, and uh, I think they got a good head coach who helped get them back to where they want to be this year, and definitely has a lot of great momentum going into next season. Going to be a big threat in the SEC if they keep going the way they went this year. So I would say those are my top three most surprising, but all of them had a great year.
All right, so I got quite a few. Definitely want to say James Madison on that list because I mean, look what they done the last 2 years. I think combined what 2 losses, 3 losses the last 2 seasons they've been there. Uh, Definitely Texas is up there for what Texas did this year. Going to Bryant Denny, a place that Nick Saban don't lose at too often. Go in
Mm-hmm.
and steal a win against Nick Saban and the Longhorns. Definitely give them put them up there. They're probably my most surprising team in college football is the Texas Longhorns. Because everybody always say, is Texas back? Is Texas, really, really back? And not only they got the huge win at Bryant Denny, but they kept it consistent the whole year. Yes, they had the loss against Oklahoma, but that close loss Oklahoma could have got them in debate as the number one team in the country. But Texas probably
Yeah,
most team. You got Liberty. Uh, Liberty is a surprising team. Let's see. Arizona is another team that surprised
yeah,
me. Arizona was in the thick of things for Pac-12 title berth. I think they finished third in the Pac-12 behind Oregon and Washington. So Texas and Arizona are my two most surprising teams in college football. Really more towards Arizona because Texas was definitely poised to make a run, but wasn't going to get past Bama and Oklahoma on their schedule to make that run. And he passed tests. So my two most surprising teams is Texas and Arizona this year, just because of what Arizona did in that loaded Pac-12.
yeah,
Uh, I hate to say this, and a lot of people give me a lot of grief, but Coach Prime turned around Colorado. For being a 1-11 team last year, yes, they went 4-8, but look what he did though. He turned it around. He got a ranked win against TCU week 1 of the year. He's turned
mm-hmm.
now. The defense got to turn it around because the defense got awful. But you look at the key players of that team coming back. Shador Sanders coming back. He needs to be healthy. They're going to make a push in the Big 12 next year because Colorado's going to the Big 12. Shiloh need to make that next step to be an elite defensive back. And then Travis got to make his mind up. Is he going to play one side of football or continue to play both sides of football? And if so, can he be healthy and make the next jump to be the superstar at either position? Because in the NFL, you got to play one position. He ain't gonna be able to play every down. It's two different positions. So I think Coach Prime definitely turned around Colorado. Could have been better, yes. But you look at Shador being hurt against Washington State. They had him. They probably would have won that game. Uh, he was bait up against Utah, and then the defense was so horrible. Warren Sapp comes in next year. He's going to help that defense a lot. Uh,
Yeah,
Hall of Famer defensive tackle himself. He's going to bring some prestige back to the defense side of football, something Colorado is desperately needing. The offensive line definitely got to get better. Shador's going to be a walk-in paramedic next year if he don't right. Um, Honestly, they're gonna be fine next year. They can fix the offensive line, get a consistent run game going next year with Dylan Edwards, and then get that defense right. Colorado can just get right back in the thick of things on in the Big 12 next year. A very weak Big 12 next year because you got Texas, Oklahoma going to the SEC next year.
yeah,
Only powerhouses in the Big 12 is Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Kansas, and then you add in Colorado, who's going to be an immediate factor in the Big 12 next year. The question is how they'll do in the Big 12 will be left to see. Uh, who's your coach of the year in college football and why?
Uh, I think you could say either if I had to do a top three, I think I would do Mike Norvell at Florida State, Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri, and then of course you throw Deion Sanders in there with Colorado.
So
And
quick.
I I like what you were saying just a second ago about Colorado and what Coach Brown's been able to do there. Uh, I still believe I've been saying it all year. You give him another maybe 2 or 3 years, and he'll have Colorado in a national title contendership because not only does he bring a lot of high expectations with his name to Colorado, you can see just this first year him being there, he's already changed the entire culture of that school and that football team. Because you look at him last year and then you look at him this year, not the same whatsoever. You give him a couple years to get those recruits to come in and play for him, and you see just the turnover he had between the team Colorado had last year to the team they had this year.
Right.
He brought a lot of talent with him when he left Jackson State, and I think he's just going to keep getting more and more talent to come play for him, and he's going to have Colorado in the national picture very soon.
Oh yeah.
So
Like I said, if you give him the resource for him to be successful, I could see Coach Prime get not only winning Big 12 championships galore, but eventually getting Colorado to a national title. If you look at the first month half of the season, Colorado was on top of college football. Yeah, rappers, Lil Wayne, Rick Ross, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, coming to Colorado football games.
yeah,
That's actually the boys won one game. But you see all these, so Coach Prime demands a celebrity presence. He had Colorado look like the mecca of college football. Colorado at one point, like an HBCU, how many black people coming to support. Uh, but like I said, you get Coach Prime the resource he can, give him a better offensive line where Shador could be effective. Because you look at one point, Shador was leading the college football in passing yards before that middle of the season where everything fell off. Give him a defense that's gonna give him a fighting chance, game in, game out, and establish a ground game. And then Travis make his mind up: is he gonna play wide out or is he gonna play quarter? You get those four things figured out. Bring back Shador, bring back Shiloh, bring in Warren Sapp to help coach that defense up. Watch out, Big 12. Colorado's gonna be a force you reckon with next year. Uh, my coaches of the year nominees will definitely be Mike November Florida State, even though I don't like Florida State. But I give credit where credit's due. Mike November, the last two seasons, improved Florida State and got them almost at one point at the top of the college football world before getting snubbed today. Uh, then you got definitely Eli Drinkowitz from Missouri. You got Brian DeBoers from Washington. You have to throw Steve Sarkisian name in there. Uh,
right,
Texas, what he's done. You got to throw Jim Harbaugh in there from Michigan. Nick Saban deserves some recognition for what he did in Georgia yesterday. Uh, but if I had to choose a coach of the year winner, it's going to come down to Mike Norvell from Florida State, Eli Drinkowitz from Missouri, and definitely Brian DeBoer for Washington. I'm gonna give it to Brian DeBoer from Washington over Mike Norvell because not only he's done it last year, but he done it this year. And
yeah,
even though Mike Norvell deserves all the credit for what he's done at Florida State, because at one point 2 years ago he was gonna get fired. But
boy,
these last 2 years, outside of Georgia, Michigan, and you gotta say Bama and Washington, he has been one of the most highest winning coaches the last couple of seasons. Even you gotta put I think Dan Lanning or Dan Manning from Oregon. He's throw his hat in there because when
yeah,
he ducks since Bo Nick's been there. But I'll say Brian DeBoer. I'm being biased because I'm supporting Washington. But look what he's done the last 2 years with him and Michael Penix. They put up astronomical numbers. And that's not taking up for what Jordan Travis and Mike Norvell's done at Florida State. But I'll give the coach from Washington just a slight edge over Mike Norvell. Now we talked about the good coaches in college football. Who are the coaches going to be in the hot seat going next year, man?
Uh, I think Miami's coach Mario Cristobal, he's definitely going to be on the hot seat if he don't get things back in gear. Sam Pittman from Arkansas, he's going to be uh, on the edge next year too, with the way Arkansas performed this year, and you know you can make the argument too with Arkansas that a lot of the games, especially early on in the year, they were one play away from winning those games because I think when they played the week they played Alabama, I remember hearing them say that because they were 2-4 at the time,
Right.
and when the week they played Alabama, the four losses they had were by an average of 7.3 points, I think. So like a one score game. So a couple plays go their way instead of being 2-4, they might be 4-2 or even 6-0 going into that game. But uh, their quarterback for the last 2 years, he's going in the transfer portal, so that's going to be a hole to fill. So he's going to have to figure something out with Arkansas.
Uh,
And go ahead.
now, I have about five coaches that's going to be a very interesting list I'm going to have. You might disagree with one of these coaches, but just the way they've been going, they're downgrading every year since he left. I have to put him on this list. I cannot. Uh, First coach I'm going to put in there is going to be Sam Pittman from Arkansas. The last couple of years, Arkansas, since that 9-win season with KJ Jefferson, they got worse since that season. Uh, so when a new quarterback comes in, KJ Jefferson going to the portal, we'll see what happens. Let's see what the comment said. Someone commented. Uh, yeah. Uh, so for what my friend Tyrone said, he's a Miami Hurricanes fan. He said no, he won't be in a hot seat. He said his leash is too long, so they give him more leeway. But we'll see. Like people say, his leash is too long now, but want his head the next minute. So we'll keep our crystal ball security over there at Miami next year. But Sam Pittman is definitely going to be one of the marquee coaches on the hot seat. I have him on the hot seat, and I hate to say this. I like this guy as a coach, but Dabo's on the hot seat going next year, in my opinion. Because I'm gonna
I
say
can
this,
see it.
I'm not saying this to be ugly, and I like Clemson, but since Trevor Lawrence left for Jacksonville, they have gotten worse and worse each year.
I agree.
That's how they was in the playoffs. They was like 12-1. First year when Hugh Lady started, he went 9-3, well 10-3. Uh, and then this year he went 8-4. So they're regressing every single year since Trevor Lawrence left. Tyrone posted he go 0-12, the bomb coming, LOL. So he basically said if Miami has a losing record this year, he's out of there. But Dabble, I hate to say it, but I gotta put Dabble up there. Sam Pittman, Billy Napier definitely is on the hot seat going next year. I hate to say it.
You you got him on the hot seat anyway.
I had him on the hot seat after the Arkansas loss. Yeah, I had him on the hot seat. Uh, Napier's actually number one on my list on the hot seat. It'll be him, Sam Pittman, Dabo. I'm trying to look at the teams at college football that struggled this year that need the hot seat. The coach for Vanderbilt's on the hot seat. They're going to continue to watch him losing season with him at the helm. Uh, that's pretty much it. Those three coaches really just cut the mind. If Dabo don't get 10 plus wins next year, they might be calling for his head. I
All
doubt
right.
fired, but just if Clemson gets any worse than this year, next year, and they go like 7-5, they might have to consider getting rid of Dabo. But yeah, those three coaches, Billy Napier, Sam Pittman, and Dabo Sweet are on my hot list.
I
Uh,
got one more.
Go ahead.
I think TCU's coach. Sonny
Oh,
Dykes. They had a lot of high expectations coming into this year for making the playoffs last year. But I think with the blowout loss to Georgia in the championship game, and then to come into this season, they come in ranked. They lose a tough game to Colorado, and really get the momentum going for Colorado. And their season really didn't get much better than that. I think they finished 5-7 on the year. So I think if he don't get it going and they win 8 or 9 games next year, I think they're going to be trying to get him on out of there too.
I'm gonna be honest with you about TCU situation. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt because a lot of firepower for that offense last year. You had quarterback go to NFL, you had a leading receiver go to NFL, but Chadwick Boyce is a seasoned quarterback, so I definitely could have stand that to a T. But I'm gonna give them a pass this year. But they pull that crap next year. Don't be surprised if the boot up out of there. Uh, but that's the teams I can see right now on the hot seat. Uh, in Power Five football. I don't see other teams struggling like that. Maybe the coach from Virginia Tech, maybe. Virginia Tech hasn't been really good in a long time. They're getting worse and worse over there. Let's see. Couple more bowl games just with announced. We got a couple more bowl games. Um, before we shut it down for the day. Uh, Virginia Tech taking on Tulane. Now Tulane lost a tough one yesterday at the hands of SMU in the AAC championship game. In this matchup, who you got between the Hokies and the Green Wave?
I like Tulane. I watched them earlier in the season when they played Ole Miss. That game they played at Tulane in that game, and I think that's a game that they should have won. Uh, they played with their backup quarterback. He had a great day, and a couple plays would have went their way. They would have upset Ole Miss, and they just continue to build off of that tough loss, and uh, they had a great season. I think they cap it off with a good win over Virginia Tech. I see them winning 31-20.
Um, I'm gonna agree with you. Michael Pratt, I really like his game. I watched him last year when they beat Kent Williams at USC in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. I think that same match is gonna happen again. Tulane's gonna humiliate Virginia Tech. Uh, this will be the second straight year of Group of Five team will beat a Power Five team in a bowl game. It's going to be 31-7. Green Wave all over the Hokies. I don't see Virginia Tech even giving Tulane a problem in this matchup. Uh, Next bowl game, part of the last bowl game that I see that's announced, the Fenway Bowl down there at Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts. The hometown favorite Boston College Golden Eagles taking on the new American Athletic Conference champion, the 24th ranked SMU Mustangs. Who you got this matchup?
I'm gonna go with SMU. They've had a really good year. They're coming off of the conference championship win. Uh, Boston College, they just finished 500 on the season. SMU, they're sitting 11-2 with the conference championship under their belt. So I think they get their 12th win of the season, and I don't think it's much of a contest. I'd say SMU 38-10.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I don't see Boston College. Good season for Boston College. Once again, SMU is going to be a problem for the Eagles. I think SMU is going to win 30-3. Sending the fans is at Fenway Park very home disappointed as the boys from Dallas, Texas. SMU stands for Southern Methodist University. For those
Yep.
who didn't know that, what do SMU stand for? But I think the Mustangs SMU is going to blow out Boston College, take care of business, and finish the season. I think with 12 wins. I think for the Mustangs. Is it
Yep.
11 wins?
They're 11-2 right now. So if
Okay.
they win, they'll be 12-2.
There's a couple of bowl that hasn't been announced yet. You're still waiting for the Gasparola Bowl to get their matchup set up. You still have we got a bowl game matchup. We got one more before we almost called it quits. The Birmingham just got announced. Troy versus Duke. in this matchup. What's your thoughts?
Troy Trojans, man, all the way. Uh, Troy, they won the Sun Belt Conference Championship yesterday against Appalachian State. They hosted the game there in Troy, Alabama, which is 40 minutes from where I'm from, right up the road from my parents' house. I went to Troy for a couple semesters before I stopped going to school, so I got to go Troy Trojans all the way.
I'm agreeing with you. And I'm gonna say this why. First of all, great season for Duke. Unfortunately, they snowballed after Ronnie Leonard had a foot injury, ankle injury, whatever it was. Uh, Troy, one of the better Group of Five schools, played the Sun Belt title game the other day. But Troy's going to go all over Duke. I think Troy's going to win 24-10. Duke play with a backup. Their coach is going to Texas A&M. Ronnie Leonard's going to Notre Dame next year. I think the Trojans get win number 11, knocking off Duke in the Birmingham Bowl. But what are your final thoughts for today's video, man, as we get ready to close out?
Ask that one more time.
What's your final thoughts? Final thoughts, anything else you want to remarks for tonight before we call it a close?
Uh, well, I can't believe the college football season is already almost over.
Right.
It seemed like it just started a couple weeks ago. It's one thing I look forward to every year. I love college football. I love it probably more than I even like the NFL. But uh, it always seems like it takes so long to get here, but it's always over so fast. And been a great season. A lot of ups and downs for a lot of teams. Uh, it was nice to see a lot of teams that haven't done anything really emerge to the front lines and back into the spotlight. A lot of teams, you know, were disappointing as far as being in the front and then taking a couple steps back. And uh, for me, especially as a fan, uh, watching, my favorite team, if everybody doesn't know, is Alabama, Roll Tide. But just watching, from the first couple of games this season, from where they were to where they are now going into the college football playoff, just watching that team grow uh, over the course of the season, especially after the Texas game. You lose that at home at Bryant Denny Stadium. Uh, Very tough loss. You had a lot of people thinking, that was it for Alabama this year. The season's over. But just to see them continue to fight and to claw their way back up, from that loss into college football playoff contentionship, uh, it's been nice to watch. Uh, Again, can't believe it's over. Looking forward to the bowl season. I think there's a lot of great matchups this offseason, and gonna have to tell me. Did you write down all the scores and stuff? Because
Oh,
I'm gonna have to see how if I got any of them right after everything's said and
uh,
done.
we're definitely gonna come back. If you're available next weekend, we're gonna go back and go over our wins and losses because we want to see who has the better record going into. We're gonna do a bowl game preview next weekend because bowl games will start to the weekend after. So we're gonna go over do our picks in for all the bowl games, and then we're gonna see who has a better record between me and Anthony at the end of it all. But once again, guys, I appreciate y'all, guys. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell button as we continue to get back in this podcast. I would love to have Anthony every Sunday, 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock his time. He lives in Alabama. But I appreciate everybody tuning in today. We're trying to hit 1,000 subs, guys. We're at 548. Uh, Next episode will be next Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern, as we're gonna go over our preview of all of the bowl games. We're gonna make our selections of the bowl matchups, and then we're gonna talk NFL postseason. Who are the contenders? Who are the pretenders? We get closer to the NFL playoffs. We'll talk transfer portal too next week because a lot of quarterbacks in the portal. We'll talk about that next week. But guys, I want to thank my co-host Anthony for joining with me today. This is probably one of our longer videos we had in quite a while. So once again, please support the channel, like, subscribe, hit the button. I think everybody from YouTube watching today, everybody from Facebook watching today. It's my first ever multi-stream podcast video. If you like more, once again, hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell button. Anything else you want to add before we sign off?
Uh, I appreciate you having me, and looking forward to all the bowl games this off season. And good luck to everybody and their favorite teams. But roll Tide.
All right, man. Go Huskies. Michael Penix. Let's win the championship, baby. All right, guys. Y'all have a wonderful night. Stay blessed. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.